Hello, I am Randy Cryle, and this is the next episode of Between Inflatable Toilets. The subject matter will be humor in ultra running. A few months ago, just before my hardest 100-mile race yet, I read Scott Jurich's latest book, North. And in there, he got into the role humor plays in as far as longevity in ultra running. I think what he was basically trying to say is that if we can learn how to laugh at our pain or through our pain, we're likely to be ultra runners for far longer than the average, which I read was about 3.5 years. I believe Scott's been running closer to 30 or more years in the ultra world. A little madness now and then is relished by the wisest men and ladies. Personally, when I use the word pain, what I really mean is productive discomfort. Pain is something I view as leading to a setback or a true injury. Productive discomfort is exactly that. Pain, severe discomfort, but it's leading towards growth. At my first 100-mile race, of course, I did experience some pretty extreme productive discomfort. But one of the things that I got right was following an instinct to grab a few old comedy CDs. I think I had Steve Martin and Jeff Foxworthy. So of course, laughing on the long drive to that race definitely helped alleviate some anxiety, and I caught myself during the run kind of flashing back to some of that laughter, some of those jokes. I guess I particularly like Jeff Foxworthy's theme. His theme for his redneck jokes fits really well in ultra running. So for you young punks out there, you may not know what a Jeff Foxworthy redneck joke is. A sample is, if you ever mowed your front lawn and found a car, you might be a redneck. Or if you go to family reunions to meet girls, you might be a redneck. So one of the things that happened at that first 100-mile race, and it was written about in a subsequent newspaper article, was one of the runners passed out in a porta-john. So think about that. How many sports are there where your competition might pass out in the crapper? If you've ever run a race so long where your competition passes out in the porta-john, you might be an ultra runner. If you've ever ran out of wet wipes on a run and used a flour tortilla shell to wipe, you might be an ultra runner. If your favorite restaurant is an aid station at your favorite ultra marathon, you might be an ultra runner. I used to have a ton of those, and when my YouTube channel got hacked, I lost that video. It was not backed up. Sort of a shame. I know a runner who had so many challenging 100-mile races to run that he would not schedule his hernia surgery. So if you've ever carried a hard plastic water flask on your run to push your hernia back into place, you might be an ultra runner. Personally, I believe that to enter a long-term period, at least 5 years or much longer, of growth, of productive discomfort and growth, it probably would help most people greatly to not be so serious. Keep it fun, keep it fun, keep it fun. Back in October, I was excited to hear that Carl Meltzer, the speed goat, owner of the world record for the most 100-mile race outright wins, was going to be racing at the Cloud Splitter 100 in Norton, Virginia this past October. So I was thinking about how funny Zach Galifianakis's new show is called Between Two Ferns. If you've been living beneath two rocks and haven't heard of it, it's basically a show where a celebrity comedian kind of plays dumb. He has celebrities come to the show and he asks them really insulting questions. So I thought, well, I'll carry my camera around just in case I happen to meet Carl and strike up a conversation. Maybe I can get him to make a fun little video along this idea. Of course, that never happened. Never saw the man until right before the race started and kind of said hi to him a few times out on the course. But anyways, the concept that kind of had me smiling was where I'm following Carl. He goes into a porta-john and we do this theme between two porta-johns with Carl Meltzer, the speed goat. And I come up and bang on the porta-john. I'm like, wow, aren't you Carl Meltzer? And just really obnoxious. And then proceed to ask him insulting questions like, hey, you know, what's with all these DNFs on your ultra sign-ups? The concept was kind of funny. I talked to a few runners deep in the mountains, and we kind of smiled and laughed about this idea, the speed goat between two porta-johns. That laughter and smiling out on a really, really tough course can absolutely make all the difference in the world. And when I was maybe all alone at 28 or 32 hours into a nearly 37-hour race with almost 25,000 feet of climbing on a very technical course, I would simply remind myself that I was ready for this because I wash my own dishes by hand barefoot. So my advice would be to look for the humor in ultra running. The redneck ultra runner jokes kind of write themselves. Keep smiling, keep running, keep racing, keep yourself growing into an upward spiral. Subscribe, hit the like button. That's it for me. The slow goat is out of here.
That was easy.